Father's Day 2014. Since today is Father's Day, I decided I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to make this a shop day. I'm going to try to get several things accomplished today in the shop that I've been really wanting or needing. Mostly things that I've been really needing and just haven't had time to build or to even work on. So that's what I'm doing today. I made a whole list of all kinds of things that I would like to get accomplished today. I really don't know if I'm going to be able to accomplish all of that, obviously not. So I'm going to prioritize them. The first thing I need to do is, if you did happen to see my video on the garage door, the apparatus garage door, well, in what I now affectionately refer to as the Battle of Garage Door, I lost my crosscut sled. It's laying over there in several pieces, two main ones though. But anyway, it was a cheap crosscut sled. I just basically took a drawer and I took the front and the back off of it, turned it sideways, cut a slit down the middle of it, glued two runners onto it, and that was my crosscut sled. But it did work. So I'm going to go ahead, and the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make a new crosscut sled, because I'm going to need that to make several of the other things that I need. This is not any kind of original crosscut sled. It's very it's standard. It's pretty much the norm of what you see all over the internet. I know Steve Ramsey's got a version of it. Alex from This Woodwork. Izzy Swan has, of course, Izzy Swan has some pretty crazy stuff, but it's a pretty standard crosscut sled. So this isn't my design or anything. I'm just showing you how Poe woodworkers do it. Okay, we can't afford to go out and buy $40–45 sheets of 3/4 inch plywood, because that's about what on the average they run here in southern Nevada. We don't really have a whole lot of lumber yards that we can go to, so we're kind of stuck to the big box stores. Most of the lumber yards that we did have here in town, the big box stores kind of shut them down, so we don't have anywhere to go. But I do have a whole bunch of recycled and reclaimed lumber that I've gotten from multiple places. Some is from up Mount Charleston, some of them's from people I see just throwing them out with their trash, and I'll run by and grab them. If they're not too bad, I'll take them. You might be able to use them for something. Now the 2x4s I did purchase. I purchased several 2x4s quite a while ago actually, but then I went and built the base for the table saw, because I didn't like the stock one that came with it, and obviously dust went everywhere with that thing, and I used most of the 2x4s that I had up there. So this is what was left over from, also I used two of them up there on the garage door, so that used pretty much most of my 2x4s. So anyway, so this is the stuff I'm going to use. This is going to be the base of the sled. It's pretty heavy, pretty thick. It used to be part of a desk, the side of a desk. It is particle board, but it's just a sled, so it should be okay. And I'll probably do it on this side, because that bottom side will slide better. Okay, now I'm going to sand it down smooth so it all runs nice and smooth. I don't know if I'll use all three of these. Obviously I'm just going to glue it together. I'm just using 1 1/4 inch, just regular screws, drywall screws. These are what I'm hopefully going to try to make the runners out of these. And I'm trying to get 4 of them, because I want to make Steve Ramsey's miter sled too. That's one of the things that's on my list today. And then this will be the fence and the supports for the crosscut sled. So alright, so I'm going to go ahead and get started, and first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to run this through the table saw and just kind of square it up, because it's not totally square right here, and I'll just check the sides and make sure it's good and square. I believe these are, the sides are, so we'll go from there. Okay, until I build an extension wing onto my table saw, I'm pretty much limited to really small cuts. So I couldn't do this on the table saw, because it wouldn't go on either side. It was too big. So I had to use my less than perfectly accurate jig for my very old circular saw. This thing is ancient. It still works, but it is ancient. The blade alone, to be honest with you, the blade alone in there I've been using on this table, or on this circular saw, for over 10 years. So, and it was pretty old then. But anyway, so I had to use that to cut the base of the sled. So let's go ahead and pull this off of here. And there's going to be the base of my sled. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to see if I can go ahead and cut the runners for it. And this is what I'm going to use to cut the runners out of. And I'm hoping that it's thick enough to you know, do well in these slots. So we'll see. So I'm just going to see what I can do about cutting these now. Okay, I got my table saw set up. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and just kind of square this up, make the sides a little bit straighter, because as you can see it's not straight at all. So so I can cut the runner strips out of these. Alright, so I'm going to square this up and then I'll be back. Okay, I got this side squared up and I checked it with the square, so I know it's good. And then I went ahead and I took this caliper. Now this is the first time I've used one of these, and I just kind of measured the inside distance for the runners. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go off of my squared off end and then just mark it and cut 4 of those. Okay, so I'll be back. Okay, got the 4 runners cut. Just did them on the table saw, real simple. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take an 80 grit sandpaper, and I'm just going to kind of fine tune these to where they fit in there and slide really well. Okay, because they're not really fitting in right now. So we need to shave them down just a hair. Alright, and I'm just going to do that by hand. I don't have any kind of a sander here. I mean, I've got a palm sander, but these are kind of thin to hold and use on a palm sander. Eventually I will get one of those combination disc and belt sanders, but just don't have one right now, so I do it by hand. So I'll be back. Okay, now I'm just fine tuning the runners, and the way I'm doing that is I'm taking the runner and I'm putting it in and I'm sliding it, and wherever it starts meeting resistance or gets stuck, no, it's really stuck, then I just kind of force it back and forth a little bit until it makes these black marks. And then what I do is I come over here and then I use my my file and I just smooth down those areas on both sides and just keep working my way down until I get it where I need it. Alright, so that's it. Okay, after much adjusting and getting my table saw set up with my crappy feather board, but hey, it serves its purpose, I got 4 good runners. Okay, they slide pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and go with these. Now the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and get the cross-cut sled put together. And I went ahead and made 2 more runners, and I already tested these. Those are going to be for, I'm going to try Steve Ramsey's miter sled. So, but that's going to be after I do the cross-cut sled. I need this right away. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and mark the height for these and see if I can get those ripped down to the proper height, and then I'm going to attach them to the base. I put the runners into the miter slots raised up with just a couple of pennies and a few key spots to raise them up so I can glue the base onto it. Then I sanded the base smooth, and this is the side that I'm going to have facing down. That's going to be against the top of the saw. I figured this side would probably slide a little bit smoother than the regular particle board side does, and besides I'd rather have that side up anyhow. Hopefully this isn't going to be an issue. I'll put this in the back, toward the back of the table saw, so hopefully it won't be an issue. If it is, then I'll just have to take care of it. Just like all of these, I'll have to take care of all of them with Bondo if they present to be a problem. Alright, so now I'm going to attach it to the runners. Then I just went ahead and glued the base to the runners. I clamped it down right to the table saw, and put a brick in there because I don't have any clamps that are long enough to reach this far over. Not yet anyhow. So this should do it. At least glue it on well enough to where I can turn it upside down and run some screws into it and hold the runners in place. Alright, so I'm just going to go ahead and let this set for a little while, and then I'll put the screws in. Okay, I've been letting this sit for, I don't know, maybe 30-40 minutes, so I think we're probably good enough on the glue. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to go ahead and carefully slide this out. I'm going to turn it upside down, and I'm going to run some screws through the runners to attach it solidly to the base. Okay, I went ahead, like I said, I screwed these down, found small enough screws that I could countersink them. And then what I did was I just ran it through the miter slots a few times. And what I'm looking for is I'm looking for all these dark marks right here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and I'm going to find all those dark marks, and then I'm just going to sand down wherever those marks are. Let's see, here's one right here, one right here. Got some shop time this morning, so I'm going to go ahead and get back on this crosscut sled, so hopefully I can get this done here really soon. Been a little busy lately and haven't been had a chance to finish this, so I'm going to see if I can go ahead and finish it today. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and just check these runners again, make sure they're all good, and then I'll attach the fences. The slide's pretty good, so I can go ahead and go on to the fences. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and use the 2x4 and just cut it down to size for the back fence. And then I'm going to use this piece of melamine, I believe it's 3/4 inch melamine, and I'm going to use that for the front fence. And I'm going to try and do that raised part like I think I saw Steve Ramsey have one like that. Alright, so we're going to get these fences ready. Got the 2x4 cut for the front fence, and now I've got the melamine. I've got it marked out where I want to cut it, and I want the raised section to be more where the blade is. So I got this marked out, and I'm going to just cut it with my jigsaw. Got the front and rear fence cut. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go over onto my router, and I'm just going to kind of round off all the edges. This is going to be sitting up like this, so I'm going to round off all the edges that I come in contact with, or hands or fingers or anything else comes in contact with, and just kind of round them off, make them a little bit smoother and a little less sharp. Okay, got the two fences. I got them cut. I went ahead and took them through the router and rounded off the edges that are going to be exposed. Did that on both the 2x4 and the melamine. All I'm going to do now is go ahead and attach them to the sled. Okay, got the rear fence set up, and I've got it, make sure I'm 90 degrees, make sure I'm nice and straight. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and glue it in this position, and I'm going to let it sit for a little while, and then I'm just going to back it out a little bit and then throw some brads in, and that should work. Got the front face attached. What I did was I went ahead and glued it down, and I clamped it right here to the base of the sled, and then I just went underneath it and just shot a few brads along it. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to let that sit for a little while, and then what I'll do is I'll bring it out, turn it upside down, and go ahead and drive a couple screws in and just make it a little more solid. Then I'll attach the front, then we can make our cut. Okay, crosscut sled is done. What I did was I went ahead and I attached the front fence, and I attached it the same way I did the back fence, the 2x4. I glued it down, and then I shot some brads from the bottom, then I turned it upside down, and I countersunk about 4 screws into it. So it should be pretty steady. And then I went ahead and let all that dry and set for a little while, a couple hours actually. And then what I did was I got a trick from Steve Ramsey, and I turned it upside down, and I put some of this paste finishing wax. Sorry about how dark it is. I got a light going out. I got 2 of my 3 lights are going out, so sorry about that. Anyway, so I put paste wax on the bottom of it, and that helps it to slide a lot easier. That last crosscut set I had, I didn't have the wax on it, and it did present a lot of resistance. And I think I might go ahead and at the end here, I think I might go ahead. Oh, that needs to be cut out a little bit more. Okay. I might put that little block right here like Steve Ramsey did. Now, as kind of like a blade guard. Now, you're going to hear me mention Steve Ramsey's name a lot. Okay, and the reason is because he has a YouTube channel called Woodworking for Mere Mortals. And Steve Ramsey is, as far as online woodworkers go, Steve Ramsey is my hero. He is the reason that I went from working on a rickety antique desk as a workbench with nothing but a palm sander, a circular saw, and this toolkit right here. And that was it. That was all I had, and I had absolutely no money. And it was tough, but Steve Ramsey, he got me inspired, he got me you know, in the mood, and now I've been doing this for about 2 years, and for 1 year of it I was down from a heart surgery, so really about a year and a half I've been doing this. We've been doing about 2.5 years, and like I said, I was down for 1 year. So in that 2.5 years I have built up, you know, a halfway decent little shop here. I got myself some equipment, and the way I did it was just I went out and I found furniture that people were throwing away, and I picked it up out of the trash and I brought it home, and I did have some old paints that I've been hanging on to for a while, and so I did, you know, a couple dressers and a couple nightstands and a couple of beds, and I put very little money into them. I didn't put any money into anything until after I had sold my first thing. So that's how I got all this built up. Just refurbishing furniture, and like I said, Steve Ramsey, he got me out of just refurbishing and actually getting into actually making things. So you're going to hear me mention Steve Ramsey a lot. Now, like I said, Woodworking for Mere Mortals, if you haven't checked out his channel, you really need to do yourself a favor and do it. But just to let you know, Steve Ramsey's woodworking is anything but mere mortal. He is really very good at what he does. But he's the reason that I did this. He's the reason that I set all this up. He's the reason that I feel that I call myself a woodworker today, is because Steve Ramsey got me from just fixing little $20, $30 dressers to actually making things and making a shop. So anyway, here's the crosscut sled. It's done. I haven't used it yet, but it's finished.